Hi friends, brothers and sisters, I'm Anya and welcome to Pathways of Hope. Today's Gospel comes from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 8, verses 1 to 10, and this is the story of Jesus feeding the 4,000. And this is quite similar to a miracle that happens earlier in the Gospel. So in Mark chapter 6, Jesus feeds the 5,000. So this is not to be mistaken as the same account of our Gospel today, which is Jesus feeding the 4,000. Now I'll talk about why they shouldn't be mistaken for the same event later on, but first I want to talk about why they're similar. So there's this large crowd following Jesus and just to listen to him preach, and they've been following him for a few days already. So Jesus has compassion on them and performs a miracle to feed the thousands. So something that happens on both accounts is that Jesus actually first turns to his disciples and asks them, "How many loaves do you have?" He then gets those loaves, blesses it, breaks it, multiplies it, and shares it to his disciples for them to share to the rest of the people. But it is just so striking that before Jesus performed this miracle, he first asked, "What do you have?" or "How many loaves do you have?" Made me realize that in order for Jesus to perform miracles in our lives, he first asks us, "What do you have? What can you offer to me?" Jesus invites us to surrender ourselves to him so that he can perform these miracles. Many of us may be praying for miracles, whether that's good health, good relationships, a good job, whatever that may be. I invite you to surrender those things to Jesus so that he may break it, he may bless it, and he may share it to others, and that he may make a miracle out of it. Now there's this other story in the Bible that's also similar to our gospel today, and this time it's from the Old Testament. So if you can guess, it's God feeding his people. So in Exodus 16, God makes bread rain down from heaven for the Israelites who've been wandering the desert. So for context, the Israelites have been freed from slavery from Egypt, and they're wandering the desert. And they begin to grumble of their food situation. They begin to say that food was better in Egypt when they were slaves. And so God hears this grumbling and provides for them. Now it's interesting to look at this story side by side with our gospel today, because in both accounts, God provides for his people, even though the people had very different attitudes. In the Old Testament, they were grumbling, they were complaining that they lacked food, where in the New Testament, these people were probably starving but still wanted to continue following Jesus. So even though there's a difference in attitude, it didn't change the fact that God chose to provide for his people. And this is also because he recognized them as followers. They were following God. And because of this, he provides. So that's just who God is. That's the type of God our God is. He's the God who provides for his people. Now, since we've gone a bit back in the Bible, let's move a bit forward. So in the same chapter, in Mark chapter 8, we find Jesus in a boat with his disciples after all the preaching. And the disciples find themselves arguing or discussing their food shortage. So they only had one loaf on that boat. And Jesus actually asks them, "Do you not remember? When I broke the 5 loaves for 5,000, how many baskets full of broken pieces did you take up?" There were 12 extra baskets. Then Jesus asks again, "And the 7 loaves for the 4,000, how many baskets full of broken pieces did you take up?" And there were 7 extra baskets. There were 7 extra baskets. And so Jesus is also just telling us that there have been many moments that he has performed the same miracle. Do you not remember these miracles? So Jesus is also asking us to remember the miracles that he has performed in our lives. What were these miracles? It's just important to look at them actually individually also, and how many times Jesus has actually provided for us, how many times God has shown his faithfulness to us. So what miracles has God given you in your life? Because I want you to remember that, hold on to that, because that will help you see the track record of God in your life, and that will help you grow in faith and grow in trust in Him. Because as we surrender ourselves to Him, He can bless us so that we may also share the blessings that we have and be an instrument for miracles for others. So Jesus receives what we surrender. He blesses it, He breaks it, and He shares it to His people. If you've been blessed by this short reflection, remember to like and share Pathways of Hope to your friends and loved ones. Again, I'm Anya. Thank you and God bless you.